Welcome students. In this video, we will have a quick recap of the chapter Nationalism in India. The chapter starts with the First World War. The First World War that started in 1914 and ended by 1918. It created a different political and economic situation. Various problems were faced by the colonial countries, especially India faced various problems during the war period. The war resulted as an increase in the defense expenditure. The prices of the goods they were almost doubled during the war years, and the forced recruitment, that is forcefully the people from the villages, the healthy people from the villages, they were recruited in the forces to fight against the war countries. During 1918 and 19 and the following year, that is 1920 and 21, the crops they failed in many parts of India, and the hardship of the people they continued to be more worsening. Then the idea of satyagraha was evolved. Mahatma Gandhi he returned to India in 1915, January 1915, and he decided to launch the idea of satyagraha. Why satyagraha? Because he, yeah, according to Gandhiji, it was the ideology of satyagraha that satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and the need to search for truth. So he decided to fight against the exploiting British rule using the ideology of satyagraha. If the struggle was against injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. Without seeking vengeance or without being aggressive, satyagraha could win the battle through non-violence. So these two tools, satyagraha and non-violence, were introduced by Gandhiji. And Gandhiji thought that people, including the oppressors, they had to be persuaded for the truth instead of being forced to accept the truth through the methods of violence. By this struggle, truth was bound to ultimately triumph or win, and Mahatma Gandhi believed that this dharma of non-violence will unite all Indians. That's why this ideology of satyagraha came into existence. Then the sudden changes that infuriated the people to join the nationalism and that created the nationalist feeling was the Rowlatt Act. According to this act, the British government can imprison and can detain any political leader without any reason for 2 years. He can be jailed for 2 years without any reason. This act united the people, and despite the united opposition of the Indian members in the Imperial Legislative Council, this act was incorporated and it was enforced. Even Mahatma Gandhi, he was barred from entering Delhi on 10th April 1919. The local leaders they were arrested and it created mass agitation, and on 10th of April 1919 martial law was imposed and General Dyer took the command of the Delhi and adjoining areas. Then it was the infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre that took place on 13th April 1919. In this, a crowd of villagers had come to Amritsar to attend a fair that is organized on daily basis in the enclosed ground on annual basis, in the enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh. From being it located outside the city, the people they were unaware of the martial law that has been imposed. When the news reached General Dyer, he entered the area, he blocked the exit points and opened fire. And he, according to Dyer, he wanted to have a moral effect, to produce a moral effect in the minds of satyagrahis, and he opened fire and thousands of people they were killed. When this news of Jallianwala Bagh massacre reached the Indian towns, especially North Indian towns, strikes, clashes with the police, the attacks on government buildings, these all took place, and government also adopted repressive policy, and they started humiliating and terrorizing the people. The satyagrahis, they were forced to rub their noses on the ground, they were forced to crawl on the streets, and they were forced to salam to all the sahibs, that is the people, the British officials. Then at the same time, Rowlatt Satyagraha, when there was widespread agitation against this movement, at the same time the Khilafat issue took up, and Mahatma Gandhi saw this as an opportunity to unite the Hindus and Muslims, to create a more widespread and national effect in the movement to fight against Britishers. What was Khilafat movement? Actually, in the First World War, the Ottoman Turkey Empire was defeated, and the Sultan of Ottoman Turkey, that is Khalifa, who was the spiritual head of the Islamic world. So after the defeat, it was rumors spread that the Khalifa has to sign a harsh peace treaty which was going to be imposed on the emperor. When this news entered India, the Khalifa's temporal powers were to be defended, and a Khilafat committee was formed. In March 1990 in Bombay, two Muslim leaders, actually they were two brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. These two Muslim brothers, they began discussing with Mahatma Gandhi how about the different possibilities, how we can fight against this ill justice and ill treatment done to the Khalifa by the Britishers. Then Mahatma Gandhi gave the ideology of non-cooperation. Why non-cooperation? Because Gandhiji believed that it was with the cooperation of the Indians that the Britishers have survived. Because of this cooperation, the Britishers have managed to drain the Indian wealth. So if Indians, they refuse to cooperate, then British rule in India will collapse, and in a very short period of time the Swaraj would come. Now how non-cooperation is to be made into a movement? This was basically an ideology, but how it got converted into a movement? It was said by Gandhiji. He proposed that it should begin with the surrender of the titles and boycott of the British goods. The boycott of civil services, the boycott of army, police, courts and legislative councils. In case if the government uses oppressive measures, then a full civil disobedience movement will be launched. So through the summer of 1920, Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali, who was actually in favor of the Khilafat movement, they wandered from place to place mobilizing popular support for the movement, and later on, by the end of December 1920, a compromise was worked out and non-cooperation program was adopted, and this non-cooperation movement, it was joined with the Khilafat movement, and then in January 1921 non-cooperation Khilafat movement began. Now we will see the differing strands within the movement, how the movement was taken up by the different people. In towns, the movement was taken up, it started with the middle class participation. Students, they left government controlled schools and colleges, The teachers, they resigned. The lawyers gave up their legal practices. The council elections were boycotted. But the effect of this non-cooperation movement was more dramatic. Foreign goods, they were boycotted. Liquor shops, they were picketed, that is, they were surrounded, and the people, they blocked the entrance to the liquor shops. Then the import of cloth, it halved and the value dropped. In many places, the merchants and traders, they refused to trade in foreign goods. This resulted in the decline of British profits. But this movement in the cities, it slowed down. Why? See, the students, they left government controlled schools, but there were no other option. Also, when it comes to boycotting the foreign clothes, khadi was used, but khadi cloth, it was expensive, and it was more expensive than the mass produced milk cloth, and the poor people, they were not able to afford this expensive khadi cloth. Also, the British institutions, when they were boycotted, there were no alternative Indian institutions. Slowly and slowly, the students and teachers, they began coming to the government schools, and lawyers, they joined back work. So this movement, it slowed down in the towns. In the countryside, the movement saw another phase. We can saw another phase of movement. In the countryside, it was the struggle of the peasants and tribals that developed. The peasants, they were led by Baba Ramchandra, who was actually a sannyasi. The movement against the talukdars and landlords was basically sought and was associated with the non-cooperation movement. They decided to give up the begar, that is the forced recruitment and forced contribution without any payment. They used to work, they were forced to work, and they were not paid any wages in return. The peasants, they were forced to work, and they can be evicted, so that they cannot claim any right on the land which is leased to the landowner. So the peasants, they decided and they demanded reduction of revenue, the abolition of begar, and boycott of oppressive landlords. The landlords, they were boycotted, and they were boycotted even the services of the barbers and washermen, they were deprived. So Jawaharlal Nehru, he founded the Kisan Sabha, the Awadh Kisan Sabha, in 1920, and then over 300 branches of the Sabha, they opened up, and the peasant movement developed in forms which the Congress leadership was not happy. The peasants, they started looting the houses of talukdars and merchants, and the grains, which were hoarded, they started taking over the grains, and this movement became violent. In regions like Andhra Pradesh, the tribal people, they took the movement in another way. It was a person, Alluri Sitaram Raju, who claimed that he had very special powers, and he can make correct astrological predictions. And with his magical powers, he can heal the people. The people, getting attracted by his words, the rebellions, the tribal rebellions, they started following Raju, and Raju, being inspired with Gandhiji, he persuaded the people to wear khadi and give up drinking, but at the same time he told people and persuaded people, conveyed people, that it is not possible to get liberation without using force. It was the use of force and not non-violence that can liberate us. So the Gudem rebels, they attacked the police stations, they attempted to kill British officials, and carried on guerrilla warfare. That is, in the night they used to attack the British officials, and they carried on their guerrilla warfare. It came to an end when Raju was captured and executed in 1924. Now we have Swaraj in plantations. In plantation, like in Assam, the plantation workers, they thought this movement that is the non-cooperation movement, is a movement that meant the right to move freely, because the plantation workers, according to Inland Emigration Act of 1859, they were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission, and they were rarely given such permission. So when the news of non-cooperation movement reached the plantation workers, then they defied the authorities, they disobeyed the authorities, they left the plantations and they headed their home. They thought that this non-cooperation movement will bring the Gandhi Raj and they will be given a piece of land in their own village. But they were stranded on the way by a railway and steamer strike, and they were caught by police and beaten up brutally. So these different visions of this movement, that is the non-cooperation movement, it was not at all acceptable by the Congress, and it was not actually matching the ideology of non-cooperation, the basic ideology of non-cooperation. So Gandhi ji, he withdrew this non-cooperation movement. Thank you. The remaining part of the chapter we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.